Good morning. So, this week hopefully isn't hard, but you never know because these sections are short. They're very short. And today's reading was all of them. It was, sections 14 through 17, so that's all of them. And then the rest of the week they're broken up into smaller bits. So anyways, the main 14, 15, 16 are all revelation given to Whitmer families. And if you want to know a lot about the Whitmers, you can read about it or you can watch the podcast. They explain it all. And so I'm not going to go into all of it because I think most of you watch the podcast. But let's just talk a little bit about the Whitmers because I'm going to get into the sections as the week goes on because they're so small, so I don't want to talk about them here. But again, what's happening in these sections is the Whitmers go to Joseph Smith and they say, "What's my part in all of this?" And Joseph asks the Lord, and the Lord gives these revelations. The first, just so many sections of the Doctrine and Covenants are basically, you know, what is my purpose? Here it is. And it's all basically just call repentance, be missionaries, establish the cause of Zion. It's kind of chilly down here. So anyways, that's how these revelations came about. So the people in the Whitmers who are mentioned in the Doctrine and Covenants are David, John, Peter Jr. and Peter Sr. So first off, David Whitmer, he probably is the most prominent in church history. He's one of the three witnesses of the Book of Mormon. And even though all three apostatized from the church, Martin Harris and Oliver Cowdery came back to the church. David Whitmer did not, but he never ever denied his witness of the Book of Mormon. And that was something he stood firm on till the day he died. They were farmers. They were competent farmers, if you will. And I believe they had Peter Whitmer and what was the mother's name? Mary? Possibly? Let me see. Mary, yes, Mary. I believe they had 8 children, and they all lived near about pretty prominent, wealthy family. Anyways, they knew Oliver Cowdery before he met Joseph Smith, and so there was that kind of relationship. But Lucy, Mac Smith, Joseph's mother, in the history, she writes that Joseph was commanded to write to David Whitmer and tell him to bring his wagon and move him, his wife, and Oliver to their house. So the persecution is growing and they need to get out of Harmony, I believe. They're in Harmony. And so David moves them in. He lives, Joseph, Oliver, and Emma now live with Peter and Mary Whitmer, and this is where they complete the last month of the translation of the Book of Mormon. Some of the Whitmer children, the sons, act as scribes sometimes for Joseph, I believe. I believe that John acted as scribe, and it says also that Peter Jr. did as well. And Peter's the only one who didn't apostatize, mainly because he died young. He died in 1836 at Liberty, Clay County, Missouri. So let's see. What should we know? It says, taken in its broadest scope, the ministry assigned to David Whitmer was of grand proportion. But it says, he forgot the covenant obligations inherent with the wording of the Lord's commission to him, I am Jesus Christ, thou art David. He forgot the admonition of the Lord to give heed unto my spirit and to those who were set over you. And thus he was left to inquire for himself for 50 years outside the church, though he preserved at least his witness to the truth of the Book of Mormon. That was worded weird. That was hard to read. Anyways, so he never denied, but he did allow pride to sink in. Now, John Whitmer, so David was born in 1805, and John was born in 1802, so he was older. Let's see, he was one of the 8 witnesses, and the church was established in the Whitmer home on April 6th. So not only were they part of the 3 witnesses and part of the 8 witnesses, and Mary received her own witness of the golden plates, but the church was founded in their home, and they were all founding members. Let's see, they all had prominent positions in the church. John Whitmer, so he was in Missouri. He helped the saints by becoming involved in financial transactions for purchasing tracts of lands. Because of allegations concerning irregularities in these transactions, an investigation was carried out, and John, who refused to cooperate with church leaders, was excommunicated on March 10th, 1838. Though Acrimonous about this action, he privately yearned for forgiveness. He remained in Far West, aloof from the church, and acquired at bargain prices many properties the saints were forced to abandon. Though he remained bitter against the prophet and the church, John never recanted his firm testimony of the Book of Mormon. He died in Far West in 1878. You see what pride gets you. Alright, so then Peter Whitmer Jr. was born in 1809, so he's the youngest of the boys mentioned. And let's see. He served as scribe. He was one of the 8 witnesses. He was baptized by Oliver. He accompanied Parley P. Pratt and Oliver Cowdery and Ziba Peterson on a mission among the Lamanites. In Independence, he established a trade as a tailor. He was ordained a high priest. Beset by aggressive mob action and persecution in Independent, he relocated to Clay County, where he provided charitable service to many despite his ill health. And then he died in 1836. Then Peter Whitmer Sr., was born in 1773. 3 of his 8 children, 8 children, David, Peter, and John, are also mentioned in the Doctrine and Covenants. Peter Sr. settled with his family in Fayette. It was his log home that the prophet completed the translation. Near the home, the 3 witnesses received their divine confirmation. The church was established on April 6, 1830. Peter and his wife were baptized by Oliver Cowdery. On the 18th, the Whitmer family moved to Kirtland, were persecuted severely. Peter slipped into apostasy along with his sons Jacob, John, and David, and moved with the dissenters to Richmond. So that's basically all the information they have in here. Like I said, the podcast really talks about them in great detail. These people know these people, and they really come alive when you hear them talk about them. I think that's really all I want to get into right now, because tomorrow we're going to do verses 1 through 5. So we got to take it slow this week. Nice and slow in little bite-sized chunks. Alright, so that's what I got.